Sir, yes, sir.
Thank you very much, Arunji. And I once again, good afternoon to everyone. And on behalf of NDDB, I welcome all the participants in this national webinar on advanced moringa farming. As since last 2 days, we were discussing moringa as a food crop, and a lot of information, knowledgeable information was shared with us. And we all know that moringa is a well-established food crop in our country, and all parts of country, our citizens, they are using it for food purpose, but very less information, knowledge is available. It's used as a fodder crop. So I will take this opportunity to share my field experiences, knowledge, and all the scientific work which we have done in NDDB to establish moringa as a fodder crop in India. I hope this knowledge will be a benefit to you in future. And what we would like to see that moringa is also used as a fodder crop in our country, and our dairy farmers who are involved in milk production. And as you all know that we are the largest milk.
Sir, your screen is not visible, sir. Excuse me, sir.
Production. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir. It can be a bit louder, please. It's possible.
Okay. Is it okay now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So I would like to start my presentation and on moringa as a fodder crop.
The last one, sir, in the downside, moringa, that is a PPTS. Yes.
Okay, it is coming.
Yes, sir. You can go to the first slide, sir. Yes.
Okay. Now,
is this your first slide, sir?
Yeah.
Okay, sir.
So my topic is agronomy of moringa as a fodder crop, and basically in fodder, as we all know that in our country there are around 30 crops which we cultivate for fodder purpose, and around 9.2 million hectare area is under cultivated fodder crops, and also around 10 million hectare area is under commons, and that too contribute to green fodder. In our country, the around 30% roughest requirement of our animals comes from the cultivated green fodder crops. 60% comes from the crop residue, and crop residue are the major source of refuges for our animals, and rest of the refuges comes from through grazing lands and forest areas. But most of our animals, they are principally dependent about the crop residues, and as you all know that crop residues, they are low in nutrition and they do not contribute to meet the essential nutrient requirement of our animals in comparison to our green fodder crops. So as we all know that the green fodder deficit is reported by different agencies in our country, and it is to the tune of up to 50%. And this green fodder deficit is mainly because very less land is available under cultivated fodder crops. Principally in 142 million hectare area, most of the land is cultivated under cereal fodder crops and vegetables, horticulture crops, and very less land is diverted towards green fodder cultivation. And most of our dairy farmers, they are landless, marginal and small farmers. They are unable to divert their land towards green fodder cultivation. That also contributes to green fodder deficit in our country. So shortage of this quality fodder, particularly during summer months and also during natural calamities, they plays very critical role in reducing the milk production in our country. If we can tackle this green fodder deficit problem, we can increase the milk production and milk productivity of our animals. And we know that green fodder is principal and basic diet of our animals. And if we do dairying on the basis of the green fodder, not only we can increase the milk production, but also we can economize the milk production in our country. And this low milk productivity in our country is mainly due to chronic shortage of green fodder in our country. And also quality of the milk is also affected if the quality of green fodder is not that good. And this all leads to decline in income of our dairy farmers, particularly of landless, small and marginal farmer. So you can see that in different regions of our country, as I told you, that around 30 crops are there which are cultivated as a green fodder crops. And due to ICR and agriculture university system, lot of research has been done in this area where lot of varieties have been developed in fodder crops which are being grown by our farmers. And latest technology is also available for cultivation of these fodder crops. And these fodder crops, as you know, that they are cultivated in different seasons, Kharif, Rabi, and seasons. And also there are many fodder crops which are perennial in nature. We can be cultivated throughout the year. So similarly, apart from fodder crops, there are many fodder trees which are grown in our country by farmers for fodder purpose. And most of these trees are Agasti, Calendria, Savory, and Glycidia. All these trees, they also play a very important role as a supplementary fodder crops for our dairy farmers. And like this, this moringa also, which is also a food tree, it can also play an important role as a supplementary fodder crop. So we have to see the different characteristics of moringa which make it suitable as a fodder crop for our dairy farm. Main thing that we understood in last 2 days that moringa, since it is originally in India, so it has got a very wide adaptability. It can grow throughout in different parts of the country. And most important is that whole foliage of moringa is suitable for fodder purpose. And this fodder of moringa is very highly palatable. It has got very pleasant aroma and taste. So animals, they will eat more. And what we have seen that this moringa as a fodder crop, it is very easy to harvest, easy to chop and mix with other dry fodder. So it can easily be recommended in any feed ration of our animals. And most important thing that it is multi-cut type and perennial in nature. And this is the important characteristic which a fodder crop should have, that it should be a multi-cut in nature. It can be cut several times in a year. And if it is a perennial in nature, that means that it can be grown for several years. So cost of cultivation can be reduced due to perennial nature. So this is a very important characteristic. And as a plant is deep-rooted, tolerant to water stress condition. As you all know that due to changing climatic condition in our country, several areas they are facing water shortage. So moringa can play a very important role in increasing the fodder availability in area which are facing shortages and where water stress conditions occur due to shortage in rainfall. So moringa also has very excellent vegetative growth during summer season. This is the very important thing that during summer time, as I told earlier also, the green fodder deficit increases due to shortage in green fodder production. Many crops we cannot cultivate in summer season in rain-fed area where water is not available. In such area, moringa can play a very important role because it grows excellently well in during summer season, and throughout the summer season, it provides very good fodder. It has got quick regeneration capacity. So after each cutting, it regenerates fast. So this is very good characteristic which a fodder crop should have. And for economics point of view, it is a dual purpose crop. So as we told earlier also, it is a food crop. So farmers can use it as a food crop as well as a fodder crop also. So dual purpose crops, they can be well adapted in our cropping system in our country. So if we talk about the fodder quality, since we last 2 days we heard that very excellent quality of moringa leaves So similar qualities, it occurs in our fodder also in Moringa. If we look at other fodder crops, there are several fodder crops. They have got very anti-nutritional content like SCN, oxalate, nitrates, and tannins. So all these, they decrease the quality of our fodder. But our Moringa, it doesn't have any SCN, oxalate, nitrate problem, and it has got very less tannins and saponin content. So it makes a very good quality fodder. And it is rich in, Moringa fodder is rich in protein, fats, minerals, whatever which is required, essential nutrients which are required for the animals, for milk production, for increasing the productivity of the animals. All these essential nutrients, they are available in Moringa fodder. Now, as I told earlier, NDDB is working in establishment of Moringa as a fodder crop in the country. And since 2014, we started several projects, several field level demonstrations program in order to convince our farmers that Moringa can be grown as a fodder crop in our country. So many pilot projects were started in different states, particularly in Kerala, Jharkhand, where we took up the challenge of growing Moringa as a fodder crop in farmers' field. Around 40 acres land was cultivated in Kerala and 35 acres land in Jharkhand, exclusive for Moringa as a fodder crops. And we transferred the technology of fodder cultivation to our farmers. And farmers' field, this farmers' field Moringa was grown and it was fed to the animals. Around 4,500 metric tons of Moringa fodder was produced, and it was used by the farmers for meeting animal requirements, animals fodder requirements. And then afterwards, also, these projects, field demonstration were done in Gujarat, Punjab, Bihar, and Karnataka states at the farmers' field to establish Moringa as a fodder crops, and also to address the seed requirements of Moringa as a fodder crop. Orchards were established by NDDB in Gujarat as well as in Jharkhand. And we are also doing several spacing varietal trials and harvest height trials and trials on silage hay making, so to see that how the Moringa can be established as a fodder crop in different parts of the country. What are the varieties which are suitable for fodder purpose? What should be the spacing and cutting height? So all these technologies, we are doing research. And simultaneously, we are also developing this extension material. And also we have developed documentary film of Moringa as a fodder crop, which is available on YouTube. Now, in Anand district, Gujarat, because Anand, as you know, that it is the birthplace of Amul, and dairy cooperatives, they all started from Amul, Anand districts, and all the dairy cooperatives, they are working in direction of increasing milk production in the country. So initially we started this Moringa fodder cultivation trials in Anand districts at Progressive Farmers Field. And as you can see that we gave them recommended cultivation practices. And with the help of the recommended cultivation practices, these farmers, they cultivated Moringa crops in Anand. And this, all this fodder, it was fed to the animals. And whatever field experience we gained, we passed on to the other farmers of other states. Similarly, in Malabar Milk Union, in Kerala, similarly, field trials were done to educate farmers and to demonstrate farmers how to take Moringa as a fodder crops. And one of our main projects was done in Jharkhand Milk Production, Jharkhand Milk Federation in Jharkhand. This project was started in 2016-17, and for 3 years we carried out this project. Around 180 farmers, they were covered in this project in 78 villages and 7 districts. And 1,000 kg seed was given to the farmers for sowing purpose. All the cost of cultivation, it was beared by the project. And this village level awareness program they were conducted to discuss the Moringa fodder technologies. So farmers, they adopted these technologies in their field, and later on we established a orchard in Jharkhand Milk Federation, and to give this fodder seed to the farmers of Moringa. Around till now, around 150 kg seed has been produced and distributed to the farmers. Similarly, this is the photographs of some of the progressive farmers in Jharkhand Milk Federations who are continuing with the Moringa as a fodder crops, and they are passing their experiences, their knowledge to other farmers, which is helping other farmers to adopt Moringa as a fodder crop. Now, if we have taken this data from the farmers level, one of the farmers who was feeding Moringa fodder to their animals, and before, you can see in this table that this Rathi Gir animals, they were giving around 6 to 10 liters of milk, and this average fat content was 3.1, 2.7, 3.1, different animals, and fat content was this. And after this Moringa inclusion in feeding diet of animals for 1 month, we saw this changes in not only in milk yield, but also in fat SNF. This milk quality problems are there in several areas in our country where low quality fodder has been fed to the animals. If we can include this good quality Moringa fodder in the diet of our animals, we can not only increase the yield of the animals, but also the quality of the milk, particularly fat and SNF, because the farmers, they have been paid on the basis of the fat and SNF content. So Moringa, it addressed this problem, fat as SNF problems in animals. Similarly, we took one experiment in Anand districts in Gujarat, where we conducted one study on 20 lactating crossbred cows in Anand district of Gujarat. Cows were selected and divided into 2 groups of 10 each based on milk yield, fat content, and stage of lactation. We, in control group of the animal, this compound cattle feed 5 kg were fed along with the hybrid Napier, which is the main fodder crop, and along with the wheat and pulse straw. And then in another group, we fed the Moringa green fodder. So in this trial, we observed that milk yield improved by 9.17% in another group of the animal, and fat content was improved by 7.14%, 3.82 versus 4.11% in comparison to control. Overall, feeding cost was lower, and daily sale of milk, he was able to get around 13.4% of income. So we can see from this experiment that Moringa proved to be highly nutritious fodder for animals. Not only it helped in increasing the milk yield, but also in gross milk composition. Net daily income of dairy farmers increased, and many organoleptic properties of the milk, they were not affected by feeding Moringa green fodder. And improvement in microbial protein synthesis. All this experimental data we have published, and there is a link below where you can access this paper and for more information. Similarly, in Punjab also, we did our field trials in Punjab also in dairy farmers level. As you know, in Punjab is highest milk productive state in our country, and farmers, they feed good quality of fodder. But still, Moringa has chance to establish as a fodder crop in Punjab also. So we gave seeds to many Punjab farmers in this in our dairy cooperatives network. And the Punjab farmer, as you know, they are very good farmers, and very good fodder crops was grown by these farmers. And in this demonstration, lot of farmers participated. And if we see the data from this farmer who took up this our fodder cultivation of Moringa, he was initially feeding green fodder crops, this maize and oats and barsim. So this is the daily ration of the animal. When this Moringa trial was started, he was feeding wheat straw 11 kg, cattle feed 6 kg, cotton seed cake 3 kg, mineral mixture, and his milk productivity was around 20 to 21 liter. So in September 2016, when we started this Moringa trial, So we made a ration for him, for this farmer. And we saw that after feeding this moringa for 1 month, so slightly improvement in milk yield around 1 liter. And mainly effect was on this fat and SNF content, 3.5 to 3.6 this fat content increase. Similarly, this SNF content increase. And overall, this since the moringa is a perennial crop, so farmers, he was able to save on cultivation cost, and he was able to get the fodder throughout the year. So this is another demonstration, field demonstration, which we have took up in our dairy cooperative system in Masuru Dairy Cooperatives in Karnataka. There also we are doing field trials to establish moringa as a fodder crop. And similarly in Bihar also, which is a very good state where moringa can be grown as a fodder crop. So in this state also, Bihar, several milk unions, they are doing this moringa field demonstration to farmers so that our farmer can learn and adopt this moringa fodder cultivation technology. And we have also seen that many dairy cooperatives in our country, such as Pune Milk Union, Jharkhand, Kolar, Baroni, and Banaskantha Milk Unions, they have established the nursery because this seed is little bit costly and it is also not easily available in different parts of the country. So through establishment of nursery, we can provide the seedlings at right stage to our farmers who can grow in their backyard, on their boundaries, and they can grow moringa as a fodder and food crop. And now if we look at the moringa nutritive value as a fodder crop, so we can see that whole green fodder, when it is harvested at 2 to 3 month stage, it contains protein around 15% and crude fat 2.3%, crude fiber 35%. Similarly, leaves, they contain around 30%, 29 to 30% crude protein, and stems also. In moringa stems, if we only analyze stem of our moringa, because it is also suitable for fodder purpose, it contains 9% protein, which is equal to any cereal fodder crop such as maize, pearl millet, and sorghum in our country. And even green pods of the moringa, they are very rich in protein and crude fat content. Around 18% crude protein is there. So overall, we can see that all parts of our moringa, they are very rich in nutrients and proximate parameters, and all the parts, they can be fed to the animals, and they are of very high quality. Now, we have also analyzed different varieties of moringa in our lab. This PKM1, Velopatti, Kapalpatti, Mulanur, Bhagyapi, all these varieties we have analyzed, and leaf quality is very good. You can see this the Bhagya variety, it contains up to 33% of crude protein, and this Velopatti variety, it is containing around 32% crude protein. And so you can overall you can see that around 31% protein content is there in our this moringa leaf. And similarly, moringa is very rich in crude fat content, and very low crude fiber content is there, and very less silica. So we can see that it is very, very good in quality. Now, if you can see this moringa, if we compare this moringa, this fodder crop with other this traditional fodder crop in our country, such as maize, sorghum, hybrid Napier. So in comparison to this maize and sorghum, which is a cereal fodder crop, and hybrid Napier, which is a grassy fodder crop, you can see this moringa, it contains more protein content, and also crude fat content is more. And similarly, this calcium phosphorus, which is very essential for milking animals, it content is also higher in our moringa fodder. So we can say that moringa fodder is containing more nutrients in comparison to maize, sorghum, and hybrid Napier. And it is comparable to our leguminous fodder crops such as lucerne, which is well grown in western and southern parts of our country. And you can see this around lucerne, which is containing around 18 to 19% CP, and moringa is slightly behind it. But overall, we can compare this moringa fodder as a lucerne, and lucerne, you know that it is also grown as a perennial fodder crop for 2-3 years in farmer's field. Similarly, moringa can also be grown as a perennial fodder crop, but for a longer duration compared to lucerne. And if we compare with the cattle feed, so Moringa green 10 we can compare. We have analyzed and we have seen that 10 kg Moringa green fodder, it is equivalent to around 1.5 kg type 2 cattle feed. So this Moringa feeding, it can replace cattle feed in the diet of the animals, and it can save a lot of money for the farmers. And now if we look at the cost of cultivation of Moringa, so we have hybrid Napier, if it is cultivated for 3 years, and this fodder maize, so fodder maize, if it is cultivated for 3 years, we can take 9 crops. And this perennial lucerne, all this fodder, they cost to farmers around 60 paisa to 1 rupee. Similarly, this perennial Moringa, if we go up to 3 years in a particular field for 3 years, it also give fodders around 1 rupees per kg. So Moringa cultivation is not very costly. If we compare it with the traditional fodder crops in our country, it is equivalent to that. Now, this is a ration of an animal. How much Moringa, if we feed to our animal on a daily basis, how much saving we can do to our farmers. Now, this is the prices, and this is the current feeding practice of our farmers who is having a cattle with a 8 liters of milk and having 4.5% fat. So Moringa fodder, if it is given in 10 kg, he can save around 23 rupees. And if we increase the diet of the Moringa in animal ration, then up to 15 kg, the saving is around 41 rupees. And similarly, if we can increase up to 20 kg, you can save around 54 rupees in animal ration. It is mainly due to reduction in the cattle feed. So we can easily incorporate Moringa green fodder in our ration of animals, and farmers can save on the cattle feed spending. Now this is the variety trial which we have taken at NDDB Anand. Now the date of sowing was around 8 March in 2020, and harvest was 14 June. So we have cultivated different varieties in our fodder demonstration unit, Anand, and we compared it which variety is better than PKM, because most of the seed which is available nowadays is with PKM1. So we found that few new varieties such as this Thar Harsa, which has been developed by this ICR, it is giving more fodder in comparison to PKM variety, 38 metric ton per hectare in one cutting. Similarly, Bhagya, it gave around 29 metric ton. And this Kurumbu variety, it also gave more fodder in comparison to PKM variety. So we can see that there are several varieties which we can adopt in our fodder production system, along with the PKM1, which can give more fodder to our farmers. Now this is the picture of Thar Harsa varieties, which has been developed by ICR Center for Horticulture Experimental Station in Vijalpur, Godhra, Gujarat. This is the new variety which has been developed, and it is doing very well in our Anand districts. And in future, we are planning to increase this seed production. Now, let us come to the agronomic practices. What agronomic practices which we can follow in Moringa fodder cultivation? First is that the most important thing, the selection of the varieties. As we all know that most of the varieties which have been developed in our country, they are derivatives of PKM1, and mostly PKM1 seed is available in the market. So this is if you go for the fodder production, you can easily select PKM1 variety seed for fodder purpose. Apart from PKM1, you can also grow Thar Harsa, Bhagya, and this Mysore local variety, and also Kurumbu variety. The seed is available. So all these variety, they are excellent for fodder purpose. Then sowing time, what we have seen that this February, March, and October, November, this is the 2 time where you can grow Moringa as a fodder crop. Main good result we have obtained during October, November season, because in May, June, fresh seeds comes, and after post rainy season, we get a very good establishment of crop. So for fodder purpose, crops should be sown in October, November month. And by the time next monsoon comes, crop is well established in your field. It is around 9 months old, and you have harvested several times. So what we have seen that sowing in rainy season is little bit sensitive, and sometimes due to heavy rainfall, failure of crop occurs. So in order to ensure that you get good fodder crop, good plant population, it is better that you select the post rainy season. Now soil type, and soil is very important that our soil should be well drained. And what we have seen through our field experience that heavy soils, they are unsuitable for moringa cultivation, because in heavy soil drainage is very poor and they are very prone to waterlogging condition. So in for moringa, you select those fields which are well drained, which have got deep tilth, fertile loam and sandy loam soil. They are best. Even red soils, they are very good lateralized soils. And pH should be 6.5 to 8, which is a neutral pH. And for field solution, please don't avoid lowland situation. Lowland situation should be avoided because moringa is a perennial crop. In second year, if the lowland condition, if the water stagnation take place, then your crop will be destroyed due to heavy rains and waterlogging. And also see that field is free from weeds and also wild animal damages. So weeds, they also play very critical role in increasing the productivity of the crop. If weeds are there, then don't select that field or control the weeds before the sowing. Then field preparation, first you go for the subsoiling so that you can increase the drainage and percolation of water. Subsoiling is very important. At 2 meter spacing, you can go for the subsoiling. Then plowing, prepare the field by plowing by using MB plow or disc plow. Then after proper plowing and after harrow and cultivator, laser leveling can be done. Proper leveling, it ensures that water, when we irrigate, it reaches to different parts of the field easily. So laser leveling very important. It also helps in proper drainage during rainy season. Then use of organic manure, it benefits our moringa crop. Because in fodder crop, the farmers, they mostly use farmyard manure, vermicompost. So it is very important that we apply this organic manure in the field. It also helps in establishment of moringa. And around 10 metric tons per hectare or 3 metric tons of vermicompost can be applied per hectare. Then chemical fertilizer, we have found that since moringa is a fodder crops, and if you want to increase the fodder yield from your plots, and if you want to get more than 100 metric tons fodder yield, then 150 kg nitrogen, 60 kg phosphorus, and around 40 kg potash, 30 kg sulfur, and 10 kg zinc sulfate has to be applied per hectare. Then time of fertilizer application, around 30 kg nitrogen. 30 kg nitrogen and full dose of all these chemical fertilizers, they should be applied in the field before sowing and mixed well in soil. Then at this sowing time, this moringa seeds, it is having a little bit hard seed coat. It will be soaked for overnight in water. And in the morning, after draining the water, this seed treatment can be done with the Trichoderma viride or Carbamazepine fungicide. It helps in increasing the germination and checking the pathogens which are involved in root decay. And then most important, this sowing distance. Moringa crop should not be sown as a broadcast because seed is very costly. You have to sow that the seed very precisely by making this line-to-line distances, plant-to-plant distance perfect. And best planting distance which we have observed at the field level is 30 centimeter by 10 centimeter. 30 centimeter row to row, 10 centimeter plant to plant, and around 100 kg seed is needed for sowing. And then just after sowing, you can irrigate your field and keep the moisture level in field proper so that germination take place. It takes around 7 to 10 days to germinate, and till the germination occur, you have to keep moisture level proper in your field. And rest of the period in moringa, since it is a deep rooted crop, you can irrigate the crop once in a month. And weed management, it is very critical. Just after sowing moringa, you can go for the pendimethalin herbicide, 1.25 liters per hectare. And then 25, 30 days stage, you can go for hand hoeing, hand weeding on hoeing operation. And also after each cutting, it is very important to remove the weeds from the field so that your crop regenerate properly and your yield, you get the good yield from your field. Now, main thing, what we have observed at the field level is weed management. It is very important in moringa because weed, they cause yield losses, not only in food crop, but also in fodder crops. And in moringa, what we have seen, these perennial weeds, they play very important role in decreasing the yield of the crop, particularly Cyprus rotundus, Parthenium, Cyanodon dactylon. All these weeds, they should be controlled in moringa fields. So before planting, if such weeds are there in your field, you can use glyphosate herbicide or paraquat herbicide to control it. Then another problem which we see in moringa fields, this termite and stem borer problems. So these pests, they have to be controlled through recommended practices. Then integrate, follow the best practice that we follow, that integrated weed management and integrated pest management practices in our moringa cultivation. All kinds of different practices, they should be incorporated in our agronomic system, agronomic practices, so that we can get the best results. Now, in pest control, what we have seen at the field level, that in fodder crops, we generally don't recommend this pesticide. So best thing is that you use fresh cow urine 50% and add 1% neem oil or neem seed kernel extract at the 5% solution, and you can spray at 10 to 10 day interval, and it will control all the insect pest problem in moringa fodder crops. So this is the very important things which we have seen in moringa Similarly, best things what we have seen in moringa cultivation is go for the ridge furrow planting method. Plant your moringa seed on the ridges and irrigate in the furrows. So ridge furrow system is best to get the best result in moringa fodder cultivation. And as you can see that seeds, they are planted on the ridges at 10 centimeter spacing. Then you irrigate the field in furrows and keep your moisture level proper, and slowly after 7 to 10 days, this seedling will germinate and slowly your crop will irrigate, will be established. And if the weeds comes, you can easily do hand weeding at 30 centimeter row spacing. Now, after this, your crop is ready, don't harvest for 30 days. First harvest should be done after 30 months, when this is very important, because if you harvest earlier, the stems are thin and regeneration problems comes. So it is better to harvest at 90-day stage when stem become at least 1 inch thick. So what we have seen that after 90 days harvest, first cutting, second cut, third cut, fourth cut, it comes very good. And you can harvest from 30 centimeter height and go up to the 60 centimeter. And after first cutting, next cutting can be taken at 50 to 60 days interval in fodder. Avoid harvesting during rainy season August. What we have seen that if we harvest during August month, heavy rainfall, lot of fungal infections, it occurs in the stem portions, and mortality of these plants is very high. So avoid harvesting during rainy seasons and keep on harvesting during other months of the year. Then after harvesting of the moringa fodder, chopping must be done. Don't feed as such. So chopping is very important. You use any this power chaff cutter or hand chaff cutter and cut your fodder 2 to 3 centimeter chop length for feeding to your animals. And this moringa, it has got a very excellent regrowth property, very excellent regeneration quality. And after each harvesting, we have to see that we remove the weeds from the field, then apply 30 kg nitrogen per hectare and give the light irrigation. It will help in quick regeneration of your crop. Then afterwards, we can harvest at 2 months interval, and regularly we can get around 25 to 30 metric tons green fodder yield per hectare. And if we can get around 4 to 5 cuttings in a year, and around 100 metric tons green fodder yield can be expected from your field. Now this is the very old Moringa plot which we are having at Anand, and it is around 6 years old. From last 6 years, we are continuously harvesting this Moringa plot at 45 to 60 days interval, and excellent. You can see excellent growth we are getting after each cutting, and each year around 10% mortality of seedlings and plants is there, and we replace these gaps in the field with the new seedlings, and you can easily see that Moringa is a very good perennial fodder crops. And once you establish this crop in your field and soil is good and your field is fertile, you can go on and on. Now we have also taken this Moringa trial at different spacings. As I told earlier, that 30 by 10 spacing, it is excellent for Moringa fodder production. And also we have taken other spacings also, 30 by 30, 15 by 15, 22 by 25, 22 centimeters. If you increase the decrease the row spacing, so your seed rate increases. Also, we find that it is very difficult to remove the weeds. So such problems are there, practical problems are there. If you close down the row spacing, so you can also increase the row spacing in your field trial up to 60 centimeter, 90 centimeter, and you can also get very good yield through following the recommended agronomic practices. At Anand, we are getting after 3 cuttings, we are getting maximum green fodder yield in 30 by 10 centimeter with a diameter content of 24% in Moringa fodder. Now in rainy season, it is this crop is highly sensitive to waterlogging condition. So take care of your crop very well. Provide drainage facility. Remove the excess water from the field. And we have seen that if you sow this crop just before the rainy season or during the rainy season, and this due to heavy rain, high moisture, failure is more. So avoid sowing just before rainy season or during rainy season in those areas where rainfall is more. Now feeding. As I told earlier, that Moringa can be fed just like any other fodder crop to the animals. Its fodder is equivalent to this leguminous fodder crop which are being grown in our countries such as barsim, lucerne, cowpea, velvet bean, rice bean. So just like any other leguminous fodder, you can mix this Moringa fodder with dry fodder of wheat straw, paddy straw, maize stover or sorghum stover, and you can give it to your animals 15 to 20 kg per day. And you can also do the mixed feeding of the Moringa along with other fodder, maize and sorghum, whatever which is available with the farmers. So Moringa can easily be fed to the animals, and we have seen that animals they like this Moringa fodder, and it is very palatable to them. Now intercropping of Moringa. Not only you can grow Moringa as a sole crop, but also as an intercrop. And we have seen this Guinea grass, Panicum maxima, it is very good, give very good results in Moringa plantation, because this Guinea grass, it is a shade tolerance fodder crop. It is also perennial in nature. It can be grown up to 5 to 10 years in a field along with the Moringa. So you can get the mixed fodder of Moringa as well as Guinea grass. And this you can see this picture that which we have taken in our fodder demonstration in Anand. Very good results we are getting, and 100 tons yield can be increased up to 150 tons per hectare by intercropping Moringa and Guinea grass together. Similarly, in other regions of our country, when you sow this Moringa during October, November month, you can intercrop Moringa with the barsim, lucerne crop during winter season, and along with the Moringa, you will get the fodder of barsim and lucerne. Afterward, in summer season, you can sow this cowpea, or in rainy season, you can sow cowpea or rice bean. So along with the Moringa, you can intercrop all these fodder crops, and you can get the mixed fodder. And similarly, Moringa, it can be dried during summer season, and when the sunshine is available in our field, you can sun dry the Moringa fodder, and you can make the hay. And our country, mostly lucerne and oat hay is being made by the farmers and in our dairy farms. But Moringa, can easily be dried in sun for 1 or 2 days, and it can be stored as a hay. So there is also opportunity commercialization of Moringa hay and converting it into a pellets and block. So pellet mill, this technology is available in our country. And Moringa, after chopping, Moringa hay after chopping, it can be converted into a pellets of 8 to 12 millimeter in size, and this can be easily be stored and transported to other parts, other places for sale purpose. Similarly, this block mixing machines, they are available, and this block mixing machine, they can be with the help of the block maker, we can make the blocks of moringa hay. Similarly, this silage also in our country nowadays, silage is becoming very popular because our country is deficit in green fodder, and silage it plays very important role in addressing the green fodder deficit problem during the lean period. The silage, as you all know, it is a fermented green fodder, which is preserved under the anaerobic condition, and there are different technologies available, such as bag technology, baling technologies, and also silopit technologies, where usually farmers can make the silage. And we have tried in our our experiment also that moringa can be used in different and mixed with other fodder crops and can be used for silage purpose also. Normally in our country, this maize and sorghum, it is being used for silage purpose. And this maize and sorghum silage, it contains around 8.5 to 9% CP. But if we mix moringa with maize silage in 30-70 ratio, we can increase this crude protein content in maize silage up to 3 to 4%. So we can enrich the silage of the maize and sorghum by mixing 30% moringa in it. And a lot of this easy making silage making technologies available, such as these silo bags. SDP bags are available from 50 kg size to 1 ton sizes, and you can make the silage in this bag, and compaction is done, and after compaction this bag is closed and preserved for 45 days. After 45 days, silage is ready, and bag can be opened and silage can be given to the animals. And you can see in this photograph this moringa and maize silage. And to check the quality, this very easy method is there. Through you can check the pH of the silage. It should be around 4 on an average 4. So quality is good, and it can go up to 4.8. Below 4.8, quality of silage is good, and it ranges from 3.5 to 4.8, where you can feed your silage to your animal without any problem. Now we are also focusing on increasing the seed production. Basic issue in increasing the fodder cultivation of moringa in our country is seed, availability of quality seed. Because the PKM seed, most of the, if you go to the market, they are being sold at more than 3,000 rupees per kg. And it is very difficult for our farmers to buy such high price seed. So NDDB is focusing on increasing the seed production of moringa. And we have dedicated around 8 acres of land for moringa seed production in Baroda. And whatever technology which is being developed by ICR, Agriculture University, in moringa seed production, we are adapting it there. And we are selling this seed at the rate of 1,000 rupees per kg to our farmers and dairy cooperatives. You can see these photographs. This is PKM1 variety. And we are getting excellent result of PKM1 variety in our orchards. And the vegetative growth period is from mid-September to mid-December. Flowering we get in this our farm from mid-December to March. It is located in Baroda districts, and we get harvesting of mature pod in May, June. And most sensitive period is rainy season. So this is the moringa orchard, and we have harvested around 800 kg seed till date from last 3 years. And plant is spacing around 4 meter by 2.5, so that we can easily interculture this between the 2 rows of moringa. Our customers are dairy cooperatives, regional fodder stations, and individual dairy farmers. We are giving this seed for the demonstration purpose, so that this moringa can be adapted as a fodder crops. And in this moringa orchard, different issues comes on disease, pest infestation, and we can follow this recommended practices of IPM in addressing the weeds problems, pest problems, fungal disease problems, and several fungicides, insecticides, and organic biopesticide which we are using in our orchards to tackle all these issues. And main problem which we are getting in our orchard is of Noda brutalis. This is the major pest in moringa, which comes during the afterwards this January and to March, and this has to be controlled in moringa orchard. Otherwise, your all yield will decrease. Similarly, after rainy season, this root decay problem is more. So root decay problems has to be tackled. Otherwise, this plant population decreases. So these are the two major problems which we face in moringa orchards, and we are using integrated pest management in our moringa orchard to tackle this pest problem, fungal disease problems, and this weeds problems. So different kinds of pesticides and this organic biopesticide we use and spray on these trees to control all those things. And this low cost light trap method we have used in our farm, and we have found it very effective. Now, what are the strategies which we have to adapt if we want to establish the moringa as a fodder crop in our country? Main thing is that our farmers, they are not aware about this moringa as a fodder crop. So we have to do the demonstration of moringa as a fodder crop in field level. And also we have to do the trainings programs so that to how they can cultivate moringa as a fodder crop in their areas. In different area, different agronomic practices can be recommended, and that can be done by our agriculture university, ICAR institutes, so that our farmers learn it and they can adapt at their field level. Second thing is that we have to increase the seed production of the moringa through establishment orchard. Presently, the seed is availability is very less, and it is very costly. So main thing is this is the main hazard which is coming at the farmers level to persuade them to adopt moringa as a fodder crops. High cost of seed, because as we saw that around 100 kg seed is needed at 30 by 10 centimeter spacing if we want to establish moringa in 1 hectare area. So it is very costly, and due to this seed, this initially farmers, they are not ready to take up it as a fodder crops. So ultimately we have to increase the seed production in our country of moringa. Then we have to distribute this seed at a lower price at the farmers' doorsteps. So this can be done by our this agriculture universities, ICR, and other agencies which are involved in this fodder development programs, and also through nursery establishment. This is very important thing. Through establishment of nursery, we can also increase the plant population of moringa in the villages, which can help in increasing the seed. Because if we can give 4 to 5 saplings to a farmer, if they grow in their backyard or on their field boundaries, these trees can grow big, and later on they can give food, and also they can give seed to the farmers, and those seeds they can be used by the farmers for growing fodder. Then we have to develop the varieties, because most of the varieties which are available in countries for the food purpose, for vegetable purpose, very less work has been done in identification of varieties for fodder purpose. So we have to do this, we have to take up the varietal demonstration, varietal development program in different areas, so that in the collaboration of the ICR Institute Agriculture Universities, so that we can identify this varieties suitable for fodder productions in different states. Then there is option of contract farming also. As we have seen that moringa is excellent fodder crops, and it is as equivalent to cattle feed. So in most of the parts of the country, this cattle feed, it is not available. Even if it is available, it is costly, and quality issues are there. So since the moringa is a natural crop, it is a crop which can be cultivated in all parts of the country. So if we cultivate moringa on a larger scale, and if our farmer adopt this moringa, they can tackle the issue of the cattle feed also. And on the contract farming basis, if large quantity of moringa is grown by the farmers, and it is being brought from them, and it is conserved as a hay, then converted into pellets or blocks. So they can, our industry and private entrepreneur, they can play a very important role in increasing the availability of quality fodder for the poor farmers, for small marginal farmers who are involved in the dairying. And also we can establish this TMR making, total mixed ration unit, silage making unit, where this moringa fodder can be used to enrich the quality of the fodder. So lot of scope is there for establishment of moringa as a fodder crop in our country. And if anybody wants to buy seeds, they can write to NDDB at this address, and we have got a online account where money can be deposited, and through TCI and through courier, we can send seed to all parts of the country. This, so that farmers can adopt the moringa as a fodder crops. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot for this exhaustive information on moringa as a fodder crop. Actually, this will be an eye-opener for many of us. This may be an eye-opener because a lot of us are thinking moringa as, you know, as a food crop or something like that. You can stop sharing, sir.
Okay.
So even I didn't know this much information is available with you. It's a wonderful presentation, sir, to be frank with you. So that, you know, I couldn't stop you for any timer, or it is more than 40 minutes or something like that. So because everyone were enjoying your presentation, a lot of information available on that. You can just stop sharing, sir. In the downside, there will be, yes, sir. Right, sir. It's a wonderful presentation. Our dean would like to say a few words, sir. Sir, your video is not visible. Yes, sir. You can stop sharing, sir. Give once again. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Visible?
You can speak, sir.
Yeah.
SL. Good evening, Dr. Dikvijay Singh, and your presentation is very nice. And
Thank you,
also
sir. Thank
more information. Now, as far as ourselves is concerned, we are concerned with only the fruit, and the leaf is for the powder making and the therapeutic uses. But it is glad that you have done a very good job on how best we can use the moringa leaf as a fodder, and the fodder has got very good nutritive value, which can enhance the milk quality. So this is a very good piece of information, and definitely it is useful to us first. Then of course the participants also going to gain what you call definitely the more informative for the participants. Then for another information, Dr. Chaudhary, who is a principal scientist in the Sheep and Goat Breeding and Research Institute, Mathura. He is doing a systematic study on the research on the moringa on animal feed. And his claim is that there is a meat yield also increase in the sheep and goat, and the milk yield is also increased considerably. So this is, first of all, I congratulate you, a very nice presentation. And I think we continue to work with you in terms of how best we can use the moringa as a part of the fodder in the animal feed. This one. Then regarding the variety, I think you have shown some of the variety called the Harshatara and the
Tar Harsha.
yeah, Harshatara. Then the other two varieties. If you have some, seeds, kindly spare us some 100 grams to 250 grams, so that we can also evaluate from our end how best it is performing in terms of yield. This number one. Of course, the moringa PKM1, PKM2, we originally bred the variety for pod yield, for vegetable purpose. So accidentally now we are using this as for leaf production, as I said, for therapeutic value. Then now we have a series of breeding program, out of which we got a very good types also for leaf purpose. This will also, after some time, we can also share some of the material. You can also evaluate, and you can analyze the other side of the animal feed utilization. I think this is the wonderful presentation, and still you can go for the how best the what you call the fat content, the quality of fat, and how best it is very economical to the farmer, because it doesn't require much water for growing moringa. So this is one of the wonderful alternative for your water consuming green fodders.
Yes, yes.
Anything you want to share with me?
Sir, thank you very much for praising me for this presentation. Actually, there is not much students who are working in fodder area. You told this Makhdoom scientist, I know him, Dr. Chaudhary, and we also gave them seed, this Moringa seed for trial purpose there. And last 5-6 years, we have seen his progress, and they are mainly working in the goat area. And in NDB, we are promoting this use of Moringa for bovine animals, cattle and buffaloes both. So not only in meat and milk production, milk yield, all things are improving wherever farmers is feeding Moringa fodder. Basic problem I told you in this presentation that we have to increase the seedability, and for this we need your help because the principal growing area is South India. Your Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, this Karnataka, these are the key states where Moringa is grown on a larger scale. But when we see this seed prices, they are very high, sir. Because normally I give you example of Barsim or Lucerne, 30 kg seed is needed, and cost of seed is around 200-300 rupees per kg. So farmer, they don't have to spend that much. So once you say that cost of seed is 3,000 rupees, nobody is ready to take up. So we need to play an important role for reducing these seed prices, sir. If you can bring it to 200-300 kg, so it will be affordable for our dairy farmers who are basically, sir, small farmers, marginal farmers, even landless. These are the farmers, they cannot afford these costly technologies. And Moringa, as you saying that it is a superfood, I am sure that it can become a super fodder crop, super fodder for our dairy farmers if we can tackle this seed issue. So we need your help. And then second thing, this identifying the varieties, because your area, it is having the larger germplasm. Lot of germplasm, as you told in first day that you are having lot of germplasm, and your scientists, they are well aware of these technologies. So we need your help, sir. So identifying the germplasm varieties and then developing their seed production technologies. And we will utilize all this knowledge in our northwestern part, eastern part, because here this Moringa cultivation is less and only 2-3 varieties they are being cultivated. So your help will be needed in future, sir. This is what I have to say, sir.
Okay, thank you. Your point is well taken. And the Moringa, you all know that it is a highly cross-pollinated crop. So our seed production is only meant for the pods. And that's why we are controlled environment, we are producing the seeds. That's why, because otherwise a lot of variation will be there. So that's why the cost is high. So otherwise we can make, if it is for random crop, for fodder crop, we can go for bulk seeding and we can reduce the price. That is not a issue. And regarding, of course, at present we have more than 60-65 germplasm we are maintaining, and we are in the process of developing exclusive varieties for high fodder yield or high leaf yield. So that's yes, we are in the process. We already identified. We'll definitely another 1 or 2 years we will come out with a good variety exclusively for fodder. So that's we are in the offing. Then you can please get our address. Of course, you may know our addresses. The Horticulture College and Research Institute, Periyakulam. You can send some samples of the varieties which you have, that is Harsa Dar and other variety. We can also evaluate it here.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the comments. So thank you, sir. We'll take some quick questions. An appeal to all the participants, as today's first presentation has went on till 4:10. We'll have some 5 minutes more for discussions. So we may have to extend this program till 5:30. I hope you will bear with us. The only reason I couldn't stop you, sir, is your presentation was very good. I don't know, we were enjoying your presentation like anything. So that is the reason. Some of the questions we have received is, maximum quantity, permissible quantity of leaf powder per animal. What is the quantity we can suggest for Moringa, I'm saying?
Moringa, as I told you, that 15 to 20 kg per day we can give, minimum 10 kg in the morning and 10 kg in the evening. And we don't have to feed only leaves. We can feed whole moringa as a fodder.
Okay.
Stem, leaves, even if you are having flower or pod, all things can be fed because it is having around 15 to 16% CP.
Okay.
Main thing is that you mix with this dry fodder or any other green fodder. So 15 kg to 15 to 20 kg, it can be fed to any dairy animals per day. No problem.
Fine, sir. Can it be fed into goats? Only it can be useful for.
Moringa is suitable for all livestock.
Is
You
it?
can feed to already a lot of research has been done to goat. Here, Dr. Saab told this Center for Goat Research Institute, Magdum. Dr. Chaudhary has already worked in that.
Fine.
They are working on. They have fed moringa to sheep, such as IJ5.
Okay.
So sheep, goat, our cat, bovine animals, there is no problem. You can feed it because there is no toxic content in it. There is no SCN process problem. There is no nitrate, no oxalates, no tannins, very less tannins and saponins. So it is very nutritious, also very safe for all kind of animals.
Fine. So one of our veterinary doctors in TNAU, Dr. Sumitra, she is asking that she has introduced this to goats where they are reluctant to take moringa initially. So how much adoption period it will take as per your experience, sir?
In any animals, what we have seen in other fodder crops also, whenever you change the diet of the animals, it takes around 1 week or 10 days to adapt it. So initially when we start, we introduce around 10%, 15% in the diet of the animal, and slowly day by day we increase the quantity of moringa in their ration. Then this is one thing. Second thing is that you can dry the moringa, and dry the moringa used as a hay. So it removes the smell of the plants, and so as a hay you can feed to your goats and sheep. So if anything, if they are not eating, so they will start eating it. Better is that you mix with the ration slowly, and then you increase later on.
Okay, I'll unmute only two guys, two persons today. Who has joined us, Moto G3, I have unmuted you, yes. Yes, you can speak now, yes.
Yeah, sir, I have this question. This moringa, in addition to seed, even the limb cuttings are also useful for propagation. And I have observed
sorry, your voice is breaking. Sorry, your voice is breaking. Can you
please? When we use, sir, is it okay now, sir? Hello?
It is still breaking.
Hello?
Yes, it is still breaking. Yes.
Sir, now, sir? Hello?
Yes.
When we use limb cuttings, the girth of the stem increases over the years. Okay, but we get excellent coppicing. So for leafy, you can use it. And at the same time, I want to see that in addition to taking fodder and vegetable, that sticker stems, can they be pulped and used for making paper so that we will have it as a multi-purpose thing, because it has resin also in the stem, which is suitable. At the same time, when we keep on coppicing, also numerous branches come. So in agroforestry blocks, not as clean crop, it can be kept as a multi-purpose tree. This is my experience where I have actually practiced this and found it feasible. But of course, paper pulping is a new concept. This can also be explored. After stripping the limbs of the leaves for fodder and for leaf powder, the main branches, limbs can be used for pulping. And new branches will come after heading back this trunk in the limb cutting propagated moringa, where the girth becomes thicker.
Yes, I got it. Since most of the leaves, most of the farmers, they are using leaves for other food purpose. So stem portion is left. So stem portion, as I told earlier also, it is having around 9% crude protein, which is equivalent to maize and sorghum per millet fodder crops. So these stems, they can chopped and used as an animal feed purpose. If there is any other utilization, such you are saying that pulp, it can be explored and But for us, that stem which has been available after harvesting of the leaves, it is suitable for animal for fodder purpose. But you give to animal after chopping it and mixing with other dry fodder.
Fine, sir. Last question from Mr. Ashok Das. I am unmuting you.
Yes. Hello.
Yes, please.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Moringa as food and moringa as fodder, which is more remunerative for the farmer?
Which one is more remunerative, you are asking, sir?
Yeah, moringa as food and moringa as fodder.
Sir, it is totally two different areas to compare, sir, actually.
Yeah, that's no. Acre wise, if you consider the yield, consider the return, that's why just a comparative.
No, remuneration, remuneration, if you ask me, remuneration is based on the money the person is getting, right, sir?
No, in the yield and also the price the farmer will get from the crop. Supposing he is growing it as a fodder crop, supposing he is growing it for leaf production. So in which way, which per acre or per hectare, which one is more remunerative for a farmer to go for?
Sir, 1 second, sir. I have muted you. 1 second, sir. 1 second, sir. Digvijay Singh, sir. 1 second. I will unmute you. Yes. Yes,
Excellent
sir.
question, sir. Because nowadays farmer, they are very economical by nature, and they will see all the options. It depends upon the marketing, what market we give. Because if you see this moringa, as I told earlier, it is basically a food crop. Mostly farmer, they are growing for vegetable purpose. They are using domestic for vegetable purpose, and commercial domestic farming is there. They are selling in the market, and even now this leaf powder concept has come up. But if you look at the adoption level, our dairy farmers, they are all over the country, and nowadays they are facing fodder shortages. So if they cultivate this moringa as a fodder crops, they can earn a lot of income through dairying. Now, if a person is growing moringa as a commercial crop, so he have to look at the market availability there. No doubt, this if it is this leaf powder nowadays, it is selling around 100 rupees per kg. If such market is available, you can sell to leaf also. Similarly, when many farmers where there is dairying is there, particularly if you come to the Gujarat, very good prices farmers they are getting in milk, and also in Rajasthan, Punjab, Haryana, and UP also a lot of milk demand is there. They in these area, if the farmers grow moringa as a fodder crops, then easily they can get around 100 tons yield per hectare. Now, if you consider the market price of the green fodder, if you can sell this green fodder at the rate of the 2 rupees to 3 rupees per kg throughout the years, you can get the total income around 2 to 3 lakhs. And cost of production, what we have calculated in NDV, it is, since it is a perennial fodder crops moringa, over 3 to 4 years cultivation, it hardly cost of cultivation comes around 1 lakh rupees. So in 3 years period, every year you are getting 100 tons. If you are selling at 2 rupees per kg, in 3 years you will get total income of 6 lakhs. Cost of cultivation come 1 lakh. So you can earn around 5 lakh rupees through sale of green fodder. So it all depends upon the opportunity and market availability. If dairy farmers are there, dairying is there, you sell your green fodder as a moringa as a green fodder. If some industry is there, leaf powder demand is there, you can sell as a leaf powder also. But what I believe that you will get equal amount of income whether you sell it as a leaf powder or if you sell it as a green fodder.
Fine, sir. Thanks a lot for your explanation. So we are getting a lot of questions of late. So I have mentioned Dr. Digvijay Singh's mobile number and mail ID also in the chat section. I will again mention this in the end of the session. So we need to rush up fast for the other presentation. So last one question I have seen, it was an interesting question. They are asking whether the smell of moringa will be there in the milk.
No, smell, we don't found such kind of things in at the farmers level. what happens that every fodder has got its own smell, and but moringa, as you eat, when you eat as a food crops, we don't get any smell. Everything has got its own taste, but there is not such a thing that we will get smell is such that you will not be able to drink the milk, or your milk will be rejected.
Yeah.
No such things are there, because once it reaches the human, everything is digested and converted to milk protein, milk fat, all those things. So there is not such any issue has come at the farmers level. Wherever we have done the farmers trials, no complaint has come, and milk yield and milk quality, it has been improved through feeding moringa.
So I am seeing it in another way around, sir. Actually, can we position this milk as, moringa fed milk? It is a premium milk kind of thing. As you say, it is having some other qualities, good quality protein, fats, and that. Is it possible?
No, it is not possible. Milk is milk. Milk is milk. It is, we have to improve the quality of milk, whatever which are we are producing in our rural areas, and that only can be done if we increase the quality of fodder at the farmers level. And moringa can play a very, very important role in future in assuring the quality of fodder which is available at the farmers level. So by improving the quality of milk through fat, SNF, and we can raise the quality of milk, and we can fetch better price for dairy farmers.
Fine.
So, sir, this is the main thing, sir.
Fine.
Good quality milk itself is a
more price. Fine.
more price.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for sharing your knowledge, vast knowledge of our
Thank you very
20
much.
years of experience in some 1 hour time. I hope people will keep calling you or keep reaching you out in mobile and email. And thanks a lot for National Dairy Development Board management for permitting you to attend this session. Thank you for joining us today, sir. Thanks a lot.